Hello everyone, Vicki here, and I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas table arrangement on a slightly contemporary slant. So to begin with, you've seen an overall shot of my ingredients, my materials for today. I have a delightful red charger, but you could have whatever colour you choose, depending on the colour of your other materials you're going to be using. Some gorgeous large-headed red roses, approximately half a black flower bucket full of leaves. In this case I have Elaeagnus leaves. I've saved some of the twigs from the Elaeagnus stems, and I have a few Cotoneaster berries, some artificial cones that are like baubles but they're in a cone shape, and I'll show you how to wire those. And then I have strips of velvet fabric just left over from sewing projects. This is a rather lovely red with a beautiful green sort of sheen on the back, a sort of crushed velvet, and I've cut those into smaller strips which will then be folded. Some sparkly glittery spider type ribbon. This is one from the APAC range, so you can get that from your wholesalers. And what else? A reel of the florist's mossing binding wire, and then the final thing is some of the green, or you can have the black anodized. These are a 22 gauge or a 20 gauge stud wire. They're about 10 inches long. So you'd need some of those for wiring up your fir cones. I'm going to start to make a garland. The garland is going to go around. I didn't tell you about the glass vase, did I? There's always something. This is just a simple glass cylinder vase. You could use an empty honey jam jar, which would be perfectly right. There's the right height. You don't want it too tall, but something that will sit nicely in the middle of the charger. So taking one end of the mossing binding wire, I'm just gathering up some leaves randomly. Some of them are facing green side together, some aren't, and just piercing through the middle with the binding wire. A good cluster of those. And then I've already pre-cut some strips of my spider ribbon, and the velvet, I have pieces here. You can feel it there, it's just come through to my finger. If you just sort of wiggle jiggle it, it will come through. So that goes onto the leaves. Then some more of the leaves, again in a random cluster, big ones, little ones, facing the right way, facing so they've got the outer side of the leaf showing, doesn't matter. You could of course do it so you have them all going the same way, it's up to you. Then the next one is a piece of the glitter ribbon. It does have a right and a wrong side. The right side shows more glitter, more sparkle, so just check that. Pierce, fold it over, pierce it through the middle. Then another collection of leaves until you find you have enough to go around that glass container. So to save you watching the paint dryers, I do a whole long garland, and you keep it attached all the time. Just keep sliding that down. So I have one that I did before. You want them fairly close together, but not so close that you can't see the velvet and the sparkly ribbon in between. So once you've ascertained the right length, you form a loop in the bottom end of the wire. This will stop everything falling off. So you have a loop like so, and bend that so it goes flat onto the leaves. And then the top end, you cut that off from your reel, and you feed the top end through that loop and pull them together so that they're just nicely snug, and secure that so that it doesn't come undone, and just move them up so that you can't see the join. So we then have the twigs. The twigs are going to be our mechanics for holding things together and for putting the fresh materials into, the fresh materials being the red roses. So I'm just putting those in a bunch in my hand, even little straight twigs. Mostly they are branching twigs. You want branching twigs because they crisscross over one another and give you a good foundation. And just drop them in. Fiddle about with them so that some are sticking upright, some are one's laying across, which isn't what I want. You take one of your long wires, drop it into the middle of the bauble hanger, and then you take a second wire and take it through that little opening, that little loop. Then you hold them all together and bend those two down. Holding one of those, you take that round those other two wires. And that holds it beautifully firmly. So I'm going to pop in the 3 baubles, and I'm only using 3 because the container's not particularly big. 5 I wouldn't get in, 4 would make the round become square, so 3 keeps it round. And these you can fiddle about with the twigs, and these will hold the twigs roughly where you want them. That one's up higher than it needs to be. So just take a bit of time. That's it. The poor blackbirds will have to do without these cotoneaster berries. They haven't started eating them just yet, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to pick any. So just pop those in. Of course, the silver of the cones picks up the silver of the glittery sparkly ribbon and brings that up from there into the design more, so creating some rhythm and contrast, because the cones are quite large but the roses are larger as well, so the cones won't be too dominant. I won't put those little ones in. And then the roses, popping the roses in. So, ouch, I thought I'd remove the thorns. There was a little one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's 18 roses here. I think they were one of the packs that, special packs, you had an extra 20%. So the chances are I won't use all 18 because the container isn't terribly large and I don't want to overpower it. I'm cutting them with a knife. I always work with a knife. It's the florist in me. A knife cuts better. It also gives a cleaner cut, a diagonal cut. It doesn't crush the stems like scissors and secateurs do. And also if you cut yourself with a knife, it's a cleaner cut. It will heal quicker. But I know a lot of you don't like using knives, but they are very easy to use. And you can see I'm cutting off quite a lot of stem, but I bought the roses for the size of the roses. Small-headed roses in a design like this wouldn't really be in proportion with the design. So that one petal that's hanging there, I'm just going to remove that. It tidies it up a little bit. And I am going for the more larger roses, the ones that are more open, should I say, not larger, they're all the same size. But of course, once they come into a warm room and drinking water again, they will soon open up beautifully. So I think I need a couple more around here. And of course, make sure that you are getting them in your glass vase. They will soon know the next morning because you'll have drooping roses if they're not drinking water. I'm going to take that leaf off. You can see why I took the leaves off. We don't need a mass of foliage in here with everything else. We've got all our foliage in that surrounding garland ring. You could use that garland as the ring if you wanted to, hanging up outside or even indoors as a different type of ring. And you could also drape it across the top of your mantelpiece and have baubles or fir cones and things just hanging down the side of the mantelpiece. So before I put water in, I'll just do a tip up. I'm just going to add one more rose. I've got 2 fir cones that are wanting to join forces, and I don't want them to, I want them separated. Finally, to say to you, it's been fantastic doing this for you, and I'd like to wish you all a happy Christmas, but more importantly, stay safe. Thank you. Bye.